Mars, the fourth planet from the sun. A red world inhabited by robots. This may be a future outpost for humanity. The next giant leap for mankind. But I get the feeling it hates everything from Earth and it's going to fight humanity every step of the way. Not a surprise for a planet named after the Roman god of war. Humans have studied Mars for millennia, noticing it as a bright blood-red star that changes its location against the background. Ancient Greeks called it, and others like Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus, wandering stars. Only in unpronounceable Greek, where we get the name planets. But why is it red? Fittingly, it's red because of all the iron oxide, similar to the chemical that makes our blood red. And Mars is likely to claim more than a little human blood during any attempted colonization. Astronomers studying Mars took advantage of ever-improving telescope technology, first figuring out the details of its orbit, then mapping out its surface. Kinda. In 1877, Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli drew maps showing lines on the surface. These weren't real, but a result of an optical illusion, probably because he was using a telescope from 1877, and crazy drugs were available over the counter at that time. I'm not saying there's a connection, just draw your own conclusions. And the Italians loved their wine. He called these grooves canali, because that's the Italian word for that, but it was later mistranslated into English as canals. You know, like those things that have to be dug by humans. Leave it to English speakers to not understand foreign languages. This led many like Percival Lowell, who had a much larger telescope, to assume a technological society lived on Mars. He even wrote several popular books on Martian life, which all ended up being wrong. Remember, just because it's in a book doesn't make it true. As telescopes got better, the canals slowly disappeared. Intelligent Martians were never found, but that didn't stop a bunch of books and movies from being made, always showing Martians as evil invaders. But who's invading who now? We started sending satellites and landers to Mars about as soon as we possibly could, with mixed success. The Soviets, for all their success landing on the nightmare-inducing Venus, were never able to succeed at Mars. But what did NASA discover? Mars is a planet of contradictions. Clear evidence of rivers, oceans, and lots of atmosphere in the past, but now it's a dry, dusty ball with hardly any air. The solar system's largest volcano, but no sign of any activity. The solar system's largest canyon, many times more grand than anything on Earth, but no river flowing through it. All signs pointed to Mars being a wet, warm planet capable of supporting canal-digging Martians at one time in the distant past. So what happened? Mars does not have a strong magnetic field. With nothing to protect the atmosphere and hardly enough gravity to hold onto it, solar winds can literally blast air molecules away from the planet, like a comet losing its water. What was once an atmosphere thick enough to maintain oceans is now just 1% the pressure of Earth. Enough to burn up your spaceship when you try to land, but not enough to slow it down before slamming into the surface. Enough, as it turns out, to fly an insanely expensive electric drone, but that's about all. The air pressure is so thin, in fact, that hurricane-speed winds wouldn't be able to blow you over. Now I know what you're thinking. Without the magnetic field, the sun's radiation will cook you, just like the atmosphere, right? Well, yes, it totally would, but not as bad as you think. It depends where you are on the surface, but the radiation in some areas is only high enough to increase your cancer risk as bad as about a pack of cigarettes a day. That's pretty bad, sure, but that assumes you're just standing there on the surface. If you're in a building with some dirt piled up around it, that drops significantly. Caves are even better. Humans may develop spaceflight only to end up as cavemen again, so why would we want to go there? There may still be microbial life. NASA has detected super salty water under the surface, and at least on Earth, everywhere you find water, you find life. Discovering that would be pretty cool, and a guaranteed Nobel Prize, so there's that. Mars has 38% Earth's gravity, enough to give you a nice spring in your step, and potentially high enough to prevent or reduce the bone density loss seen in astronauts on the space station. Mars also has a 24.5-hour day. Who wouldn't want to hit that snooze button a few more times and get away with it? Temperatures on Mars are pretty cold, like inland Antarctica cold, but in the right spot, a hot, blistering summer day might get to 95 Fahrenheit. And then there's the dust. The planet is covered in the stuff. It slowly builds up on solar panels and chokes out the power, most recently killing NASA's InSight lander. This stuff gets blown all over, and occasionally blocks out the sun around the entire planet. Unlike moon dust, Martian dust isn't razor sharp, so that's nice, but it's definitely still poisonous. It's packed with perchlorates, which are toxic, but it's possible to wash them from the soil with an ample supply of clean water. Oh wait, the oceans are gone. Whoops. Without flushing that out, Matt Damon would have a lot of trouble growing his potatoes there, even with a bunch of astronaut poop. Still, exploring and colonizing Mars could give us access to the asteroid belt and eventually the outer planets. I say let's do it. You first though. I'll wait till you have a coffee shop set up. Speaking of those outer planets, let's check out Jupiter next. Unless I haven't made the video yet, then click this one.